This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boatyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's your choice family restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Try the John Bain sandwich on your next visit. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. CW Tree Trimming, LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area, and we offer a senior citizen and veteran discount.
Iowa Technology Systems of Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Managed IT, including software and hardware navigation needs. No job is too small. iowatechsys.com. If you are someone having trouble with your PC or laptop, or a demanding business, you can be our next happy customer in Mount Pleasant.
Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs. They even have a conference room that you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. It is Thursday, October 16, 2025. The Mount Pleasant Area Chamber Alliance Government Relations Committee and KILJ Radio held a candidate forum. The two candidates running for Mount Pleasant Mayor answered questions. The event between incumbent Mayor Steve Brimhall and challenger Kasey Conrad began at 5:30 p.m. right here in the Civic Center meeting, and I'm right outside it right now. Executive Vice President of Mount Pleasant Chamber Alliance, Rachel Lindeen, moderated tonight's event, and I'm bringing it to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Hayden Douglas from KILJ from the Civic Meeting Room here at the City Hall. It's a busy room, full room as people still walking in, finding seats. We have our Mayor Steve Brimhall and we have Kasey Conrad here for our forum today, hosted by the Chamber Government Alliance. Rachel Lindeen's going to lead our forum, so tonight I'll let her take it away.
Thank you, Hayden. Good evening, everybody. I am Rachel Lindeen with the Mount Pleasant Area Chamber Alliance. The Mount Pleasant Area Chamber Alliance is a nonprofit, membership-based organization with the mission of enhancing the quality of life for all people of Henry County through economic growth. We rely and encourage volunteer participation from area businesses, organizations, and individuals that support the community. We serve as a focal point and advocate for all business interests for Mount Pleasant at local, regional, state, and national levels. We would like to thank the City of Mount Pleasant for allowing us to meet here tonight. So we will begin with just explaining the format. I know many of you are familiar. This is not a debate format, but instead an opportunity for you to get to know each candidate. We're going to start off with 2-minute opening remarks. We will then move on to a series of prepared questions from the Government Relations Committee, and then at the conclusion, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing remark. Please note, none of the candidates have seen the questions nor the topics discussed tonight. And to the candidates, we ask you to answer your questions in as specific as possible. We are not looking for high-level answers. So we'll start with an introduction. Kasey, we'll begin with you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Kim Conrad, but most of you know me as Kasey. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this event, and thank you, Mr. Brimhall, for your years of service to Mount Pleasant. I'm a wife, a mother of 4 children, a grandmother of 13. Yeah, it's a lot. After some time abroad, my husband Dennis and I, of 40 years, moved here to Mount Pleasant to be close to family and to become in-town grandparents. Our son was the coach of the Iowa Wesleyan wrestling team, and as we know what happened there, the college closed and his career took him elsewhere. We came for family, but we stayed for the community. I'm also a small business owner here. I've had a small business for over 40 years. I opened a business here within 2 months of moving in. My husband recently, a year ago, opened a business of his own. I've rolled up my sleeves with community groups and to co-found a professional women's group here. And we, in that community group, along with the Kiwanis, raised over $8,000 for the school libraries because they had purged a bunch of books. And so we went to the superintendent and asked him what could we do to help, and that's what he landed on. And we did a wonderful job, and it was great working with the Kiwanis Club. I'm not a cookie cutter candidate. I'm a builder. I've started things from the ground up, including a wellness center in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that grew from 1 therapy clinic to 4 locations with more than 30 therapists. That original clinic is still open today, and 3 of the original therapists, that was in 1999, are still there serving. Thank you.
Steve?
Okay. My name is Steve Brimhall, Mayor of Mount Pleasant, and I'm running for re-election. Born and raised in Henry County, I've spent most of my life in Mount Pleasant. I'm in this race to continue being mayor because our city needs to keep moving forward. Our families deserve good jobs, safe neighborhoods, and responsive government. My background, I'm a graduate of Waco High School. I have a bachelor's degree in business education and a master's degree in secondary school administration from Truman State University, Kirksville, Missouri. I served in the United States Army, advanced to platoon sergeant with a tour of duty in Vietnam. My full-time work experience includes teaching business education for 1 year here at Mount Pleasant High School, and my classroom was clear at the other end. And this was a big study hall, and as a new teacher, guess where they put a new teacher? Right in here. Let's see. Then I taught at Mount Pleasant High School for 1 year, and then on a Friday, school was over. On Monday, I walked across the street and I worked at US Bank for 37 years, retiring as market president here in Mount Pleasant. My wife Karen and I have been married 57 years and counting. We have 3 grown married daughters and 8 grandchildren. I served on the Mount Pleasant City Council for 19 years, where I was the chairman of Personnel and Finance, Personnel and Finance. I am currently serving as president of the Mount Pleasant Area Development Commission, chairman of the Henry County Closed Landfill Commission, and most of you won't have a clue what that is, treasurer of Main Street. I'm a member of the 9/11 board, emergency management board, and I attend most Mount Pleasant utility board meetings because we own the utilities. I'm also on a regional loan committee in Burlington. Sorry, okay.
That's okay.
2 minutes goes fast.
It sure does. But this is a good segue. Steve, we'll begin with you. What particular skills or experiences qualify you to serve as the mayor of Mount Pleasant?
Well, as I just didn't quite get finished, being on the Personnel and Finance Committee for 19 years, my first duty that Bill Sack, or should say Governor Bill Sack, assigned me was to develop a personnel policy manual for the city of Mount Pleasant. And so I worked on that. Fortunately, I was smart enough to, I don't want to say, I borrowed manuals from other communities, and eventually we put one together with a combination of all of those. So I worked hard on personnel. Being a business education mayor, business education major, I did have some accounting classes, and I am one that looks at the budget on a monthly basis go through the line items to make sure that they're posted correctly and to really keep up on the finances. And if we look at our audits, you'll find out that most of our loans are at about a 2% rate that we have borrowed at the present time. And there's about $11 million of general obligation loans that are at that rate. So when we felt the rate was at the right amount, we either refinanced loans or we borrowed more money to do projects. So those two things, I think, with personnel and finance really helps me do this job.
Thank you. Kasey, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. I believe that my experience working as the chief operating officer for an educational consulting firm for over 10 years has brought a lot of information to me and experience that will help me running a city. That included writing RFPs for over 40 private schools in the United Arab Emirates. Those RFPs, we were granted 90% of the schools that we wrote the RFPs for. And if you're not familiar with that, those are over 1,000-page documents where you do pro formas and you do 5-year projections financially, you work on construction, you pick out exactly how many pieces of furniture that you need for the school, you pick out how many square feet you're going to have per student so you can predict the number of students that the school will hold. I oversaw for 6 private schools their opening from start to finish, from staffing to budgeting to overseeing the renovations of the old schools to bring them to a space that was available so it was safe and comfortable for the students K through 12 that we were bringing in. Each of those schools held over 1,000 students. So you can imagine how many teachers and paras that we had to hire. I loved that job, and one of my favorite parts of that job was dealing with parents to make sure that their children felt safe and secure in those school buildings. I have started a number of businesses from the ground up, and that means business plans, setting forth all of the proposals to get financing, to prepare businesses. Thank you very much.
All right, Kasey, we will stay with you for this next question.
Okay.
In economic development, local incentives like TIF districts are often used to attract business and ultimately grow the population. Do you support such incentives? Why or why not?
I believe that any incentive that we can get to bring in small businesses and attract entrepreneurial enterprises here are important. If we qualify, then I think we should at least apply. I think that we are in a position now where we need to look at small businesses to support all of the small businesses here in town. And when we can give them more support, I think that the businesses are going to feel more comfortable and it's going to attract more businesses here. I have ideas on how to attract those businesses. We can set up, along with being able to help them with some financing and credits, we can set up a concierge page on our city website that has all of the information about buildings that are available for use, the permits that are available, the zoning that is there, and anything else that they might need. So it could be a one-stop shop for new businesses who are wanting to come in. And also any incentives that we have available for them can be added to that page as well.
Thank you. Steve?
You repeat that.
Sure. In economic development, local incentives like TIF districts are often used to attract businesses and ultimately grow the population. Do you support these incentives? Why or why not?
TIF districts are almost a necessity at this point in time. Every city is competing for the same thing, and TIF districts are one way to compete. You have to be careful because when the fertilizer plant was built in Burlington, they were given a 30-year tax abatement. So that particular property did not pay any property tax for 30 years. You really have to look at those very hard because most communities can't afford to support a business for 30 years if they're not paying any revenue into you. So what you try to do is temper that, so you don't go 30 years, maybe you go 15, maybe you do a ratcheted TIF district, so they pay a little bit, and that's what we attempt to do. I guess I would go back to the days when I first started working at the city. A mayor from Sioux City basically said, give what you have to give to a new business, but don't give any more than you have to a new business. And that's a really tough poker game to get into. When you're sitting across from new business, you wanna come to town and you wanna get them, but you don't want to give the store away. So it becomes something that's very unique to do. It takes the right kind of person, and Brand's been able to do that very well. But TIF is a necessity. Everybody has it, and you have to use it.
Thank you. Steve, I'll start with you on this next one. Tourism in Henry County has a multi-million-dollar annual impact and investment into our community. What can the city do to help grow and support tourism?
Tourism, when I hear the word tourism, what do you think of? Everybody would say the same thing. In Mount Pleasant, tourism is Old Thrashers. And Old Thrashers brings in, as we know, thousands and thousands of people. So we actually support Old Thrashers through our hotel motel tax. We give them revenue, and since this was the 75th year last year, we actually gave them some additional revenue for them to market that 75th year anniversary information. And I think it made a difference this year. I think they had one of their best years as far as numbers. But when you say tourism in this community, it's pretty much Old Thrashers. I know there's lots of museums and there's lots of tourist places to go, but people come to see Old Thrashers. And so we support it. Main Street, we support Main Street, who also helps Old Thrashers in a very big way by running the gates and keeping that going. And that's basically part of Lisa's pay, working there. Main Street, of which I'm a member and work 6:30 to 10, 4 days out there, brings in $12,000 for Main Street. So Old Thrashers helps Main Street helps Old Thrashers, and the community as a whole helps Old Thrashers tremendously by their volunteerism.
Thank you, Kasey.
I love Old Thrashers. Who doesn't? There are so many other things that we can do here that can be adjunct with Old Thrashers, or new things that we can add in. Our square is our front porch, right? So when people come in, the first thing they notice in Mount Pleasant is our square. We can begin to do more things with that square. We have an amazingly diverse population. Our population has grown in diversity by 8% over the last 5 years. That's an incredible growth. And some of that I want to thank Iowa Wins for, because I think that makes our population and our city more rich. I also want to say that we have a wonderful Amtrak depot here. The Amtrak train stops here twice a day. And we could start to partner. We have hotels, motels now that are struggling because they're losing from Iowa Wesleyan closing. We could partner with Amtrak and those hotels to create weekend events for people to come to. We have beautiful parks for kids to play in. We have the Quaker Museum in Salem. Hardly anybody even knows about that. It's a beautiful place. It's a national park that we have so close to us that people could take advantage of. There's a lot of things to do here, but a lot of people, even who are from here, don't know about, because most of our attention goes to Old Thrashers. Again, Old Thrashers is great, but it's not and shouldn't be the only game in town. We have a lot of talented people here. We could begin to have art shows in the square. There are so many things that could be done to bring people here to drive in for a Saturday, to bring their family. We could become a destination without that much effort.
All right, Kasey, we'll stay with you in this next question because it's still relevant.
Okay, I hope I know the answer.
Quality of life is key for worker retention and population growth. With the expansion of trails, quality libraries, and diverse parks, how will you maintain the great qualities of our community amenities?
Well, I do want to say one thing. I do believe that the city has done a pretty good job of creating a plan for infrastructure. I think that they have, I might not get this right, sir, so you can correct me, but I believe there's a 5-year plan, and now we have a trails plan for near Winfield, and then over here by Grand. But I think it's an amazing thing to do, but I think we always have to be aware of how we're gonna maintain those things once we put them in, for like snow removal and things like that, so people can use them all of the seasons, so they're not just a summer thing, because some of the places we have, they close during the winter because we don't maintain them during the winter, like snow removal and such, so they're not available to families. But if we can start to create these trail systems, because we can also do this through the tourism piece, inviting people to come and use our trails, because Oakland Mills is a gem. It's really a beautiful place, and it's usable most of the year. So I think, again, it's just communicating to people what we have here and allowing them to be able to see and come out and notice that we could get our schools to do more visits out there and put other types of activities out there. I think it's all in just knowing what you have and using it to the best advantage for the city.
Thank you. Steve?
Okay, the city definitely has a plan for, has had a plan for parks, has had a plan for trails, and has a plan for infrastructure. We have a plan for, I hate to say almost everything. Now, the plan is the plan, but we learned a long time ago that you can't budget 5 years in advance, because the state legislature is gonna change something, and you might as well throw that in the wastebasket after 2 years. So we budget at a 1 to 2 year, 2 years at a time. And basically some of our future plans are, number one, replace the wooden park. We have more vandalism there, we have more police calls there than any other park, and we've had big time issues, so replacing that park would cost $250,000. We'd like to build Leetown Park, and we have the plans for Leetown Park, and at one point in time, it was about a $2 million cost. Well, since we couldn't get the grant at the time, we didn't get it done, so the cost now has jumped to about $4 million. So we still we've applied for a $2 million grant, but we don't know if we'll receive it. And if we do get it, there will be fundraising and some other activities to go along with that. Bike trails are not only amenities, but they're for safety as well. And we are putting a bike trail on the Winfield Avenue project next year. We had to wait 4 years to do that project because we're getting an STP grant for probably about $1.5 million to do that road project. So when we can match up a road project with an STP grant, that's what we gotta do, because we have to extend those dollars. And we're working hard on another bike trail, and that bike trail is from Bell, and that's down there by the Bell subdivision to Hy-Vee. We have people walking on the 4-lane highway to get to Hy-Vee. Thank you. I might finish that later.
Well, maybe this is it. Steve, we'll start with you. As mayor, what are your top three ideas to grow the city's population?
Well, one of them, basically, the mayor can't grow the city's population. It's as simple as that. I serve on the Mount Pleasant Area Development Commission, which entails 6 members of the Chamber of Commerce, 3 members of city-appointed people, 3 members of county-appointed people. There should be enough brain power in the room to try and figure out how to make Mount Pleasant grow more, but it's really tough. And And one of the things we think would make Mount Pleasant grow more is more apartments and more houses. We are getting apartments built, and it's kind of interesting since Wesleyan failed in May of 2023, we actually have put in 17 apartments have been put in by Mr. Greiner, 8 apartments at Nimitz Hall, 5 houses at Iowa Wesleyan University were sold to individuals, so they've been put on the tax roll. There's 22 apartments being built right now at Hershey Hall, and hopefully will be completed in 2026. And 2 units, upper story apartments were done downtown above in one of the nail shops. So to increase population, I believe you have to increase places for people to live. Apartments are one way, because houses right now at $200 or more a square foot, it takes people with money to build a house. And with interest rates at around 7%, I think they're gonna have to go down a percent or 2 before they really get back in the market on houses. And the only way you're gonna get houses built is figure out how to subsidize it. And that's not just the mayor's job to try to figure out how to do that. That's not only the community's job, but it's the Area Development Commission's job to help try and figure that out. Now we do
That
it.
was 2 minutes for one idea, so.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Kasey, top 3 ideas.
Top 3. This is something that I'm very passionate about, growing Mount Pleasant. My 3 top are tourism, I've already talked about that. The second one is attracting more people to Mount Pleasant. One of those demographics could be remote workers, because normally those remote workers are in the early family ages. So they're gonna come with their jobs already intact. They are gonna come with their kids. And so our schools are gonna, instead of having minus 50 enrollment, we are gonna be able to grow the enrollment. We now have the ability with the fiber optics to support people to work at home. So that's a fantastic thing, because they're coming in here, they're getting paid from outside of the city, but they're spending all their money here. So that's definitely a win-win for us. I have another idea about bringing in more small businesses. How do we do that? We travel, we go and recruit them at trade shows and whatnot. We use our website and our Facebook page to recruit, to reach out to other people, to bring them in here and come in and stay. We improve our education somewhat, right? I mean, the board is struggling now a little bit, as we all know, anybody who was at the meeting on Monday. And one other thing is being welcoming and supportive to new small businesses. And that's small businesses all along Mount Pleasant's perimeter, not just the downtown folks. All of the people who are outside, they all have a place at the table because they all pay taxes to the city, they all bring revenue in here, and they all provide jobs.
Time. All right, Kasey, we'll start with you. If money was not an issue, what would you like to see added to the community?
I would like to see some public transportation added to the community. So the people who are in the outlying parts of the city, and the senior citizens and disabled people. I know we have a bus, but it runs on very small hours, but that we could have some public transportation that everybody could take advantage of. That would be one thing that I think would be very, very important, and that everybody could take advantage of here. I have more time, right?
You got 1 minute and 24 seconds.
Oh, awesome, okay. Another thing I would do is I would put some benches downtown. I would have along the streets in front of the businesses. So people could come, walk downtown, because again, we have an aging demographic here. And we love that, but when they want to come and visit downtown, it's difficult for them if they want to, for example, have breakfast at Miss K's and then walk down near where the chamber is, it's a long way for them to walk. So if we had benches along the way, they could grab a coffee, they could have breakfast, and then they could walk, take a rest, enjoy the scenery downtown. It might even attract more people to come downtown, which would also then inspire people to go shopping in our shops, and then our small businesses downtown would benefit as well.
You good?
Am I
You got
done?
22 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
Just teasing.
So let's get some buses.
Yeah. All right, Steve. If money was no issue, what would you do?
The first thing I would do is something that there's been, I don't know how many different committees developed to try and do this, and it's a recreation center. And a recreation center at this point in time is about $25 million. So nobody even attempts to start because it's so expensive. So when you say money's no object, that would be the first thing I would do. When we built our zero depth pool here in Mount Pleasant, that zero depth pool was sold to the community by members of the city council and Brent. We went to every organization we could think of, sold a zero depth pool to the community, and they voted for it to the tune of about 74% positive. So that pool is now 30 years old, if you can believe that. It's 30 years old, and it needs a tremendous amount of maintenance on an annual basis. The decision for future leaders in a couple of years, or 3 or 4 or 5 years, in 5 years, somebody in City Hall is gonna have to decide what kind of replacement of that pool is going to exist. Everywhere we look, pools are closing. Now, I don't know if the answer is indoor pools, indoor recreation centers, or another zero depth type pool. But that is the kind of thing that people want. The people up at Riverside, because they come from Iowa City, they built the new houses south of town, voted themselves, I think, about a $30 million debt on a recreation facility, but they're willing to pay for it. And people around here, maybe not quite as willing to raise their taxes to pay for that. So you really have to work hard to figure out how to do something like that, because it's gonna take a bond issue to do it, along with a whole lot of donations.
That's actually a very good idea.
Okay, Steve, staying with you. Having competitive utility rates is key for economic development. In your opinion, what can the city do to ensure that we continue to have competitive rates and have the capacity to add for economic growth?
That's a really hard question, because trying to nail down utility rates is almost impossible. The utilities right now is in a disagreement with RPGI over rates, and where you get electricity off the grid. I mean, we could produce our own electricity here with generators, but that's more expensive than off the grid. Generators take diesel fuel. Diesel fuel costs more money, and so that doesn't work. So there isn't a tremendous amount of control that you have over electric rates. I'll tell you that right now. The city is going to be, attempt to get the lowest rates they can, but they're at the mercy. They're at the mercy of the market, and you may lock them in for 3 months. You may lock them in for 6 months, or whatever. But you do not lock in low-priced utility rates forever. And right now, they're in a consortium that is having issues at the present time. So who knows what will happen down the road? But utility rates are something I don't think anybody can guarantee.
Kasey?
Well, I think that part of the things that can be done are incentives for homeowners to weatherproof their homes for winter and summer. I also think that we have now a moratorium on wind power, and not wholly, but we also have a moratorium on new solar arrays. But honestly, again, those things are going to be the energy of the future. And if we don't pick up on some of those things, we are going to be left even further behind. There are a lot of places around Mount Pleasant, out around the outskirts, that have a lot of land that is not visible to any public roads, where they wouldn't be eyesores, where they wouldn't cause damage, whatever damage people are afraid they're gonna cause, but that we could put to use. And if we could do that, we could supplement our municipalities here, the utilities here, and all of our rates could either become more stable. And I know this is very generic, but I'm being as specific as I can. So, but we could also possibly save money in the long run.
Thank you. Kasey, we will begin with you on this one. Local government works best when it's about the people. How will you keep partisanship out of city decisions and prioritize what's right for our citizens?
Well, one thing that I have already proposed is that I would hold a quarterly town hall and invite all of the citizens to come. Because I think it's very important that when you are in a position of any kind of, and I'm gonna say power, I'm gonna use that term a little bit loosely, but it's important that you listen to everybody. Because when you accept that position, you've accepted the position to represent every single person who is in your jurisdiction. I'm using legal term. But it's important that we have ideas coming from everywhere. Because we can have ideas on this side, we can have ideas on this side, but generally the best solution is somewhere in the middle. So when you can listen to concerns, and I also believe that bringing people together and having everyone share their concerns, share their ideas about how to improve, and share some of the things they like, we're going to see that we are not really so different, and that it's not partisan, that we are one community. Mount Pleasant is one community. We all belong, we are all connected together. We go to work together, our kids go to school together, we are in groups together. We are not divided, we are connected. And if we can start to build on that connection, I don't think we're gonna need too much to worry about that partisanship.
Thank you. Steve?
Basically, I have to appoint people to committees, and I have my sheet of committees here. I think there's approximately 60 positions on those sheets, and I don't ask a person what their party preference is before I appoint somebody to a committee. I have both sides, and I don't know which way some of them lean. Doesn't make any difference. If I feel they can do the job, we appoint them, and the council usually approves the appointment. As far as community engagement we found is best done by an outsider a lot of times. Every 10 years approximately, we've done a comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan basically is a guide and a direction as what people in Mount Pleasant want. And basically, to get to that plan, there's several components. One of them is a public survey, interviews with community members. We have open houses, public meetings, and several planning and zoning commission meetings. In total, 500 residents were participated in planning process in the last comprehensive plan. And we know that Mount Pleasant is aging and becoming an older community. Also, becoming more diverse, as Kasey said earlier. So the goal in this particular comprehensive plan was a vision that Mount Pleasant will be the best small town in Iowa. Another way to communicate with the people that make decisions is go to city council meetings and express your opinion. Become a city council member, go even past that. And get on one of these citizens committees. You've heard? Sorry about that. Done?
Okay, you're done.
Okay, I'm done.
Steve, we'll stay with you for this next question. What specific strategies would you use to fund and sustain all city departments while keeping taxes stable?
Read the first part of that again.
Yep. What specific strategies would you use to fund and sustain all city departments while keeping taxes stable?
That's a tough one. Inflation creates probably a 3 to 5% increase on an annual basis. And if you say 3% increase in wages, what has to give in order to give that 3% in wage increases unless the community is growing? Now, in the past couple of years, I can't remember which years which, but we've grown about $10 million in valuation, and 1 year's 14 million. We really need to grow probably more than that in order to sustain everybody like they want to be sustained, plus increases. For example, how much money would you guess we spend on the library? $372,000. Okay, if we give them a 3% increase, they would like a 3% increase over the whole budget. They want to buy more books, they want to buy more CDs, they want to buy more DVDs or whatever they lend out to the public. So, and when the state is saying that you can only grow at a certain percentage, you have to be very, very careful of what you do. Now, right now, our city is sitting on good reserves, and the interest rates have been very good over the past several years. And so we've been making money, investing our excess money in CDs, or basically it's through iPay. iPay pays more than local CDs, so it's through the state of Iowa, and it's insured by the state. So we have been able to offset some of the increase in the expenses by the revenue we receive from interest. But that will go away eventually also. As you can see, that CD rates are going to start coming down. So it's going to be very hard to maintain that, especially when the legislature's putting a cap on what you increase taxes by.
Fine. Kasey?
Could you read the question again, please?
Absolutely. What specific strategies would you use to fund and sustain all city departments while keeping taxes stable?
Well, I'm gonna go back to some of the things that I've already said. By growing the community, we grow our economy. So by implementing strategies for improving tourism, by implementing strategies to recruit and entice and inspire new businesses to come into the town. We have for quite some time been, again, losing population like crazy, 12% over the last 5 years and 3% per annum. That's a crazy amount of people that we're losing. So in order to build that back up, we need to get more people here. So again, going back to those strategies that I've already talked about and building up our tax base, because if there are more people here paying more taxes, we are going to have more income. That's simple math. And to be able to actually communicate one-to-one with the citizenry, I think is also very, very important to understand. We need to know as a city government what you, the people, are thinking, what are you wanting, and how can you help us? How can you help us grow our community to make it bigger, to bring in a higher tax base, more money into the community? Those things are very important, and I think it's the job of the entire community to grow together. It's not just one entity that decides, or bringing in somebody from outside who doesn't know us to decide what's best for us. So my strategy is to do whatever we can to bring more people in, make it more attractive for them, because it'll make it more attractive for all of us. Our lives are going to be improved by growing our economy and growing our population.
Kasey,
Yes.
where do you see the city in 4 10, and 20 years? And what will you do to help us get there?
20 years.
I know.
Holy Moses. Well, again, I think it's really important that we continue to take care of our infrastructure. I think, again, there's a plan for that in place, and I think we should continue with that. I think obviously it needs a second look. One of my first introductions to city government here when I moved here was someone coming with a petition because their streets were in such bad shape that they could barely drive on them. So I'm glad to see that those things are starting to be addressed. I think that's really important. I think, again, celebrating the diversity. So in 5 years, I would like to see our downtown thriving. I would like to see the square being used more than it is now, taking advantage of that beautiful space. I would like to see us celebrating diversity. Again, I'll say that over and over because I think that's very important. I think that we should be seeing in 10 years a much larger graduating class at Mount Pleasant High School because we have taken care of some of these things. I'd like to see us as a destination for people to come for weekends, for weeks through the summer. Even when it's not Old Threshers, we have an RV park. We could be using that outside of the Old Threshers time. We could use it in the spring and the summer. We have a beautiful park, McMillan Park, that we could also be using for larger events. And in 20 years, I would like to see that Mount Pleasant is still as charming and as welcoming a city as it is now. Only I'd like to see it to be at least 1/3 larger and thriving and not bleeding population.
Good timing. Steve, do you want me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Where do you see the city in 4 years, 10, and 20, and what will you do to help us get there?
Well, it's hard to tell what it's gonna be 4, 10, and 20. Basically, we have a business recruit right now that we hope says yes. If they do, it's $65 million in new investment, and it's 50 new workers. Those people, though, same old story. Those people are going to need a place to live. And one of the hardest things to do is figure out how to build housing for those people. You have developers in town right now that have property, and if you, as a city or government, go out and buy a piece of property and sell it for less than that they're offering, they're not too happy. And they come in this room just like you are tonight and tell us that. So it's an extremely tough thing to do, especially housing. Housing is really, really tough right now. The only people that don't have any problem with housing are the communities that are near the urban centers like Ankeny. I remember going to Ankeny when my daughter was an 8th grader competing in track. We were about the same size. Ankeny now, I'm told, is around 60,000 people because they're sitting beside Des Moines and they're sitting besides all the things that people want to do. We have a very tough time attracting some of those younger people because of what those people have in those areas. And that's why I go back to one of the biggest things that if you want to keep people here, one of those things is going to be a recreation center of some kind, because people want recreation, and we have bike trails. If we get done what we want to get done, we're adding another 2.5 miles to our bike trails. Now, Oakland Mills. I could talk forever.
All right, so we will conclude tonight's forum with closing remarks from each candidate. Steve, we will start from you.
I'm first.
Yes, you sure are.
Okay, closing remarks. I even have it at the top of the page so I don't get mixed up here. My wife and I chose to stay in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. I've never regretted that decision. I have given approximately 35 years to city government. It has been rewarding for my family to live here, Even though my girls did not stay in Mount Pleasant, all of them are in the state of Iowa. Our favorite likes are the Midwest style of living. More laid back when you can get to know your neighbors. I hope this forum was informative. Hopefully it helps you understand government a little better. Government on the local level is about building consensus. One council member may have a great idea, but it takes 3 other council members to agree before this idea moves forward. And a mayor basically has no vote. So he can have an idea, but he has to get 4 people to agree with him in order to move it forward. So the power is in the council. And I know some people think the mayor can do this, the mayor can do that. They can in some forms of government, but not in Mount Pleasant. There's a lot to be said for a seasoned local government. Consistency of members makes government run much smoother. Things seem to get done and at a much quicker pace. If someone missteps, the voters have the opportunity to vote this person or persons out of office. That hasn't happened with this council and mayor. In closing, if I am elected, I will be focused on creating new jobs and maintaining existing jobs. I'll be dedicated to providing safe neighborhoods, and that's shown in the bike trails that we plan to build here soon. Committed to continual upgrading of city infrastructure, and determined to provide effective, responsive, common sense government. Thank you.
Kasey?
Thank you for this opportunity to let people of Mount Pleasant know me a little bit better. I really appreciate that. I'm proud to be the first woman ever to run for mayor of Mount Pleasant. I accept that historic honor and responsibility with gratitude and humility. The outpouring of support from friends, business owners, elected officials, and so many other kind neighbors has meant the world to me. I pledge to listen to you and represent every single citizen of Mount Pleasant. I am a symbol for change, not change for its own sake, but thoughtful, steady, responsible change. Change has already happened, and Mount Pleasant needs to catch up. My promise is to keep us from falling further behind and to move us forward with common sense and care. Mr. Brimhall has served as mayor for 15 years, and we should be thankful to him. He's given us a lot of service, and he's given a lot to the community. But now I believe he's done all he can. Now I ask you to join me in this historic campaign. Together, let us bring Mount Pleasant back to the future, honoring who we are while building the city for our families and small businesses, and building the city they deserve. I would be honored to earn your vote. And if you want to know more about me, you can follow my Facebook page at Kasey Kim Conrad, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for welcoming me to the community, and thank you all for showing up tonight and giving us this opportunity to let you know why we believe we would be your best choice for mayor of Mount Pleasant.
Thank you to you both. We appreciate your willingness to serve and wish you both good luck. As a reminder, vote on November 4th, or you can go vote tomorrow. Good luck this evening. I do believe the candidates will stick around if you have individual questions you would like to ask either one of them. Thank you all for coming.
Well, what did you think of the candidates and what they said? If you really watched this episode, then please leave your comments below. Also, make sure to give this episode a like, follow and subscribe. It's free, and I appreciate you. I actually introduced myself to both candidates, but did not ask questions of them tonight because I wanted this to come to you as impartial as possible. Thanks for watching, and thank you to my sponsors, Iowa Technology Systems, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming LLC, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.